Hey guys, end of quarter, end of month today. What I'm looking at here, possibly a strong close to end of quarter out here. The things that have been driving us pretty much abated this morning, driving us to the downside. So things are quite possible. Keeping it really quick and dirty here, looking for possibly 43.80 to the upside, back inside this wedging formation. You can't see the wedge, so we're breaking out of a channel formation I got drawn here. Potentially breaking out of it this morning. If you go out on the daily would be best, I guess. I gotta zoom in too. Give me a second here. So we got a wedging formation. I got my fibs. We are still below that wedging formation. That would put us back inside that wedge here on the ESs. Go back down here to the 20 minutes. So Wednesday we found proved very critical support with single prints down here. Typically you have a bell curve. Uh, on its side using volume profile. So what we did Wednesday was we put single prints at the very bottom, suggesting the bottom of the curve is completed. So now we have to look towards the upside, until proven otherwise. So basically, we'll see what happens here. So we are still below critical uh, test point here on ESs. Okay. So, and then on the downside, we'd be coming back down to yesterday's lows. That'd be our target on the downside if things were to get shaky today. In Q. In Qs, we did close above critical, the critical pivot. So that's a little more bullish here in the markets. So be mindful of that. We are above that critical pivot. We are into a resistance area from yesterday. Uh, Proven resistance area from yesterday. Um, we should be targeting July lows possibly here. 15,065, 15,000 area is really critical. Uh, so that's the area that I'd be looking to the upside today. Uh, and we'll just go from there. And if I go over here on the bigger time frames, you can see a little bit more what's going on here. So basically, we've held a very critical pivot. Now we're looking to see if we can come up into that next pivot area. So we'll see what happens here. So basically, this is looking a little bit more constructive for a inverted head and shoulders scenario setting up here. So just be mindful of that going forward today. Okay, and our measured target would put us up into that downward trend line right here. So that's why I'm really looking into these July lows, 15,050 area, something like that on NQs. I also did diamonds this morning. I'm not really doing the NQs. We're right at a 3-year critical support area. We found proven support on the diamonds as well as the others. Uh, so we got this channel, and our measured move would put us right back up into the bottom of that channel. Not necessarily, just basically doing the back test, the bearish back test for a typical measured move. So that would be the bullish scenario. This was 3-year proven support on the diamonds, and we're just about ready to cross back over that. Go out in the daily time frame. I'll show you that channel. This channel's right here. Okay, so we came in, we broke down. Typically, any type of bearish continuation, you do get a back test of those breakdowns typically, and that would be the primary thesis that I'm looking at. A back test of that breakdown coming up here, back testing. If for even the bears, that would be the primary thesis on the diamonds. Okay, some things I'm looking at here to get the nitty gritty. The things that have really been driving the markets lower, volatility has been catching a bid. Today we were over the 200-day moving average on the daily, and now we're backing off away from it. So that's bullish for the overall markets, taking volatility out. We have a bid in our bonds. That's quite bullish for the overall equities, especially risk-on equities. So be mindful of that. We're trying to push out above a critical pivot area today. So be mindful of that. Keep an eye on that. And the dollar, the complete and total ridiculous move in the dollar to the upside seems to be abating a little bit. So if you come in here, zoom in, uh, it's not the end of the world, okay? But we are doing a back test right now as we speak. But we are getting some relief. Uh, this accelerated uptrend, we seem to be fading away from that accelerated uptrend at the moment here on the dollar. So that's a couple things. Then we also have crude. Crude is catching a little bit of a reprieve here. Very major testing area here for crude. So once we start breaking above the 93.50 area, then it opens the door for this really, accelerated area that we saw early 2022. The problem is the inventories are so low and the supply chain is so thin. Uh, that's what they're concerned about with this whole crude. So we got right up into that resistance area, tried to get out, and that initially here we are fading away from that. It might take a week or two, to just base here, assuming they want to base it there. I don't know, but and then try to break out. I don't know what's going to play out there, but it does look like we did come off though. That was one of the driving forces for the overall markets to the downside as well. So I did want to mention that. Then, I'm looking at things in two different ways. Okay, so overall, my bias is bullish to finish out the quarter. The most problems that I see in the market, keep it quick and simple here. Apple. So we're still below critical support. The critical pivot, we haven't even gotten through one critical pivot. So pretty much most of the major elements in the market bottomed out Wednesday. Guess what? Apple bottomed out yesterday. So does that mean it's going to start taking off today? I don't know. I did want to point that out going forward here. We have a downtrend. We haven't even come up and back tested a downtrend yet. Uh, and we are still fighting this year's critical support level as well. So we're still trying to get just about above the entire year's critical support here on Apple as well. So very important. This is one of the ones, you got Apple being the biggest company in the world showing relative weakness to the overall markets. So we need to really start seeing this thing fire to be turned bullish in the market, uh, or at the very least start holding. But we did possibly put in a critical low on Apple yesterday, but I would have preferred to see Apple bottoming before the market bottoms. I don't like Apple bottoming after the market bottoms. So that is something to be concerned about. If you zoom in here on the 20 minutes, this is what I'm looking at. We could be coming right back down into those lows from yesterday. We got a gap down here that has not been completely satisfied. We got a considerable gap down here that has not been satisfied on Apple as well. So that's a little warning. Uh, Gaps don't have to get satisfied, but that is a little bit warning in the market because this is still acting. If we were to see some really bullish sentiment, that we should be up in that trend line at some point today here on Apple. Microsoft actually turned the corner a little bit. It's actually the second. So Microsoft's the number two biggest company in the world, showing relative weakness on the megatechs. So thing is with Microsoft, we did manage to at least regain the pivot yesterday, and we came down, we back tested, and we're still above that critical pivot. So it's showing a little bit of life. So but it is still acting as one of the worst stocks currently acting as one of the worst stocks out there. So be mindful of that. So basically, we'd be coming in today trying to regain 3 year support. So we're, on a relative basis, we're still way away from 3 year support on Microsoft. So even though we're showing a little bit more relative strength from yesterday, it's further away from the Apple's right at the 3 year support, whereas uh, Microsoft still hasn't even got to it. So just keep that in mind going forward here. On the strength side, Meta showing relative strength here. Let me go on a bigger time frame, 1 hour. Okay, we're in a wedging formation on Meta. Okay, so definitely keep this one on watch. Showing, like I said, showing relative strength. The way the FIDs were, I had to expand the fib range because the way the FIDs were laying out, it showed, it gave me some mixed reads and stuff on Meta. Uh, but basically, we broke out of that wedge, and they didn't want to have anything to do with it to the downside. So I did want to point that out on Meta. They did not want to have anything to do with further downside so far from Wednesday. So uh, so I'm definitely keeping this on watch. This is one of the strongest stocks out there, one of the strongest momentum stocks out there. Then I'm also watching Google. You go right here. This is one of the stronger stocks. We had a really nice sell down. We're in a uh, megaphone formation. Almost we're almost a half back here on the megaphone. 3-year critical support coming up into that. I definitely see us at the very least testing the 3 years critical support. So we haven't actually crossed back on the bullish side of trend yet, but this is something I'm watching. The risk reward was to come buy in down here for the move back. That would have been an ideal setup because you're getting into the middle of the megaphone now, so and a rejection area. But this one here is showing relative strength. I did want to mention it. If we were to show strength in the overall markets, the 134.50 would be your upside target. Obviously we got some additional resistance right up in this area as well. So that is a lot. That is a reasonable assumption if we see relative strength in the markets that we could possibly do that today. And that's assuming the markets hold up. I mean, yeah, anything can happen. News can come out and blow everything up. And then plus it's in the quarter too. Does big money want to dump this market lower going into next quarter? But initially this morning, things look bullish, and that's the theory that I want to stick to. Okay, please like the video if you like it. Leave comments below if you're seeing additional stuff that I need to be watching and that everybody else should know about. I'd appreciate it. And I will see you in the trading rooms. We do have a free Zoom room. If you guys want to come in, watch my charts during the day, listen to our commentary, or even feed in on the commentary, you're more than welcome. Thanks a lot. Oops, hit the wrong button.